Hey guys, this is Dave with Valor Fire Training, and in this week's equipment review, we're going to talk about the working fire nozzle from Task Force Tips. All right, guys. So, as with all of our reviews, this is not paid. I asked for this, and the dealer that we deal with on a regular basis hooked me up. We are not compensated in any way for this thing, so this is definitely not a paid review. But we got this nozzle before we went up to Nebraska for two different live fire classes at two different departments. And we flowed about 34,000 gallons of water through this, including in live fire. And we wanted to kind of check it out. It's something that's new on the market this year, and it fills a void that kind of has always been there. But Task Force Tips came up with some technology that wasn't out there on the market before to kind of solve it. So imagine that an automatic nozzle and a fixed gownage nozzle went out for a crazy night, and 9 months later they had a baby. This is what would pop out. It is truly a fixed gownage nozzle through and through, from zero up to the design pressure. So this is a 150 at 75. There's also a 160 at 50 option. And so from zero to 150, 75, or from zero to 160 at 50, it does just what a fixed gallonage nozzle does. If you under pump it, it's going to have a crappy stream. And if you over pump it, that's kind of where the differences start. Now, when I heard about this thing coming out on the market, I immediately thought of ShamWow.
Get the ShamWow mask made in Germany and the USA. It's made with the same high-tech material used to make surgical masks. But the thing is, you can't wash these. ShamWows are machine washable, reusable, and disposable masks. Come on, you're wasting them like you're a billionaire at a nightclub.
And the reason why I thought of ShamWow is because, in the fire service, there are things that are kind of gimmicky, and they're like, oh, hey, this is the best thing out there, so you should buy it. And it doesn't necessarily do exactly what they said it was going to do. So for all the keyboard warriors out there who love to lose their minds about stuff like that, I don't think you're going to be able to do that in this video. You might want to just skip on by. If you want to actually learn about the nozzle and how it performed for us, keep on watching. But this nozzle was designed so that you could over pump it, and that instead of having to squeeze extra water and extra pressure through the same size orifice, so like a standard fixed gallonage nozzle, this has a spring and baffle system just like an automatic nozzle. So that baffle is going to move, and it's going to increase the orifice size. Therefore, you're going to be able to let out more water and more pressure. And their claim is that you have less nozzle reaction. Now, we'll get to that in a second. But to talk about the design, Task Force Tips has always been known for putting out some really high quality products. The machining is very well done. The build quality is great. Everything's tight, and there's no loose parts or loose fittings. Everything is where it's supposed to be. So if we start at the end of it, this one has a fixed rubber teeth, and you also have the option of the metal spinning teeth if that's your thing. As far as the pattern selection, you have a detent on either end. So there's a detent for straight stream, and if you go all the way to wide fog, it stops, and it stops very abruptly, and you know that you're all the way open on fog. If you want to go to flush, you have to go all the way over, and it clicks again. So you definitely know, even with gloves on with limited visibility, you definitely know where you're at as far as the pattern. The other nice thing, and we're starting to see this on a lot of nozzles on the market, they put an identifier up here that's tactile, so you can feel when this is straight up, you're on a straight stream. When it's over to the left, you're starting to get into a fog. It does have somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 90-degree turn to get it all the way to fog. So that's nice. So you don't have to rotate it all the way around. And the other nice thing about this is that it has a full 1 3/8 waterway. So Task Force Tips is known for using their slide valve system. So it actually slides back and forth to open or close. They did not use this. So we lost the detents. So instead of having the clicks, it's a full smooth bail operation, which is nice. And on the back side, they were able to use a full round stainless steel ball. So if I open and close it, you can see it's a full round stainless steel ball. It works just fine. And it functions really well under pressure. When we get past that and we get to this swivel portion, this is kind of where I have an issue with some of the design. So it's a very short swivel, and it's really, really tight. So as you're moving it, It's tight without it even being on the hose. Once you get it on the hose and it's pressurized, it's really hard to get this nozzle to rotate where you want it to go. And the issue that I have with that is if your hose gets moved and you want to reposition that nozzle where you find it comfortable, it's kind of a pain in the butt and it's kind of hard to do. So I wish that that was a little bit easier to move or a little bit looser, but it's definitely not a game changer. This model comes with a pistol grip. They also offer one without a pistol grip, and they have a third option, which is just the tip only if you want to put it on a shutoff. So the biggest question that everybody asks when they found out that we were going to be field testing this was, well, how did it work? And I feel like that's kind of a loaded question. Did it put out fire? Yeah. Did it flow water? Yeah. And I know what they meant. They wanted to know the specifics of this, less nozzle reaction thing. So, in order to talk about that, I feel like I have to take you to their website to kind of show you what I'm talking about. If you go to www.tft.com, you can find their marketing material. And in their marketing material, they talk about the difference in nozzle reaction at different GPMs for a standard flow versus the working fire. They also show the 150 at 75 and the 160 at 50. So they talk about the working fire nozzle at 150 at 75 having 65 pounds of nozzle reaction at 150, which is comparable to a standard fixed gallonage. But the difference is when you go up to 200 gallons a minute, they claim that there's 87 pounds of nozzle reaction on the working fire and 116 pounds of nozzle reaction at 200 on the standard. So if you're going to ask me that question, you're going to ask me if it worked like that. My answer is I don't think so. When we were testing this, we put it on a flow meter. We pitot the flow meter so that we knew that it was accurate and it was calibrated. We had 150 at 75 on both the fixed gallonage standard nozzle and this. And then we went up to 200 gallons per minute. And if you ask me blindfolded which nozzle I was using, I don't think I'd be able to tell you the difference. There wasn't a huge noticeable difference. Now, having said that, the difference between 116 and 87 is not huge. And it is on paper, but I don't know that you'd necessarily be able to tell that difference flowing for 30 or 40 seconds versus just sitting in a parking lot and flowing for 20 minutes. Yeah, you'd be able to tell a difference between 87 and 116 pretty easily. But there were several things that this nozzle did that just completely blew my mind. One of those things was that we tested it on a situation where we had a driver operator who switched from the tank to hydrant very quickly. And anybody that's been on a nozzle long enough knows that if you have a driver operator who sucks at their job, they're going to kick your butt when they do that. So what we noticed is that when we set up that scenario and we actually had the driver operator do that on purpose, we didn't feel that sudden increase in pressure, and it didn't lift us up off of our legs or knees or whatever like the other nozzles did. It was a little bit more forgiving. And if you look at the side of the nozzle, it actually says 150 at 75 with pressure relief. And that's exactly what it was. It was like a pressure relief. So, the other situation that we set up was that we had two lines coming off of a gated Y. We also tried two lines coming off of a rig running on PSI mode. And when one line shut down abruptly, the transfer of that pressure before the truck had a chance to idle all the way back through the line down the to the nozzle, it didn't feel like we got as much of an abrupt, holy crap, that's a lot of pressure. Before you even had a chance to notice that it was increasing in pressure, it was already done. And then it would settle and it would equalize, and there really weren't any issues. So in that respect, I absolutely loved it. Now, going back to the design of the nozzle and how uh, it performed great. It's a fixed gallonage nozzle before anything else. So I'm used to running fixed gallonage. That's what we flow at my departments. And it worked. It worked really well. And I actually enjoyed flowing it. It had a great stream. There weren't any issues with that. So do I feel like it's the sham wow of the fire service? No, I don't feel like it's the sham wow of the fire service. I feel like it's a good product. I feel like it's a nozzle that does what it's supposed to do. Do I feel like there's some options and some things in there that are maybe lost in translation? Yeah, I don't necessarily buy the whole less nozzle reaction thing. But again, that's empirical. That's what I'm feeling when I'm flowing the nozzle. I didn't hook it on a fish scale and test it that way. Um, but I think that this fills a really interesting void. And, we've talked about it. I know I personally have struggled trying to get my departments to switch to certain, products or different brands or different things. And so, this kind of brings me to my next point, which is if you're on a department where you're trying to switch to a fixed gallonage or a smoothbore nozzle and you just can't get buy-in, you have people that are so stuck on automatics or selectable gallonage. This gives you another option. This gives you the option to say, hey, I got a nozzle that kind of does both, and maybe we should try it out. The nice thing about it is that you don't have to switch anything out on the nozzle. The driver operator can kind of control the flow based off the pressure that they're pumping to you. So yeah, I definitely think that that fills a void where some people may just kind of be SOL. This gives them another option that they didn't have before. It does have a list price a little over $1,000. I've seen it online for anywhere between 750 and 800. I'm sure the dealers can probably get pricing that's a little better than that, but that does put it right up there above some of the other nozzles that are out there on the market. So it's definitely not the cheapest option. It's not the most expensive option, but it does give people some different abilities based on your organization and what you're trying to do. So would I run out there and buy it tomorrow if I didn't have to? No, but I wouldn't do that with any other nozzle either. So, if you want to learn more about it, you can go to tft.com. And if you get a hold of one of the local dealers, they should all have or be getting the demo nozzles. But I would definitely take a look at it. It was something that was different. And, we enjoyed flowing it. It did what it was supposed to do. And if somebody handed it to me on a porch, I'd take it in and fight fire with it. I don't have any problem with that at all. So we're gonna have a couple more equipment reviews coming up in the next few months. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. I know it's been kind of difficult for everyone with this COVID deal, and this time of year, it's starting to snow here in Kansas. It kind of gets hard to go out and do stuff, but we're definitely looking forward to getting back out there again. Until the next time we talk, take care, be safe, wash your hands, and we'll talk to you soon.